Hello there and welcome back to my channel. So you will have seen by the title, today's video is going to be me justifying why I should keep all of my Aliexpress palettes. I'm going to be doing an Aliexpress eyeshadow palette declutter. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic about this just because my other eyeshadow palette declutter video wasn't too successful. Let's just say she did not get rid of a lot. So today I'm hoping that I'm going to cut this down by 50%. I am going to be giving away these palettes to friends, family, people that I know really, because I've used all of the palettes. So I just hope that people that know me would not be offended if I gave them some kind of disease. So I'm going to go through the palettes by brand, just because I feel like that's a organised way of doing it. Like, I just like the idea of that. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and we're going to begin today with a Handaiyan palette. So this is the Renaissance palette. This one features a row of mattes and then a row of shimmers. I was really surprised at how good this palette was when I first tried it, because I tried other makeup from Handaiyan and I just was not very impressed. So Handaiyan was kind of in my mind as being like a shit brand until I tried this palette. I think that the colours are actually really beautiful, particularly the shimmers. I'm not ready to give this one up yet. Oh my gosh, I just feel like this is the way the whole video is going to go. But yeah, I'm not ready to give this one up. I feel like there's more I need to do with this palette, so I'm going to be keeping it. And it's Comic Sans packaging, which, you know, pisses me off. Like, there's no excuse for Comic Sans. If you're a graphic designer and you use Comic Sans, find another profession, like literally. Okay, so next we're going to go through my FOCALLURE palettes. There's quite a few. FOCALLURE definitely make up the majority of my eyeshadow palettes from AliExpress. So we're going to begin with the Burning palette. I don't know why, but I just thought cystitis when I thought of burning. But anyway, so this is a very warm tone palette. Again, we've got mattes, we've got shimmers. I wasn't overly impressed with this and I will not be keeping this. So I am going to be giving this one away. So I'm going to put it in my giving away side, like the Burning palette. Oh, cystitis. Oh, God. The next palette is the Your Eyes on Me Focal. This is a highlighter, eyeshadow and blush palette all in one. This one is definitely going to be given away because I never use it. It did remind me a little bit of the Modern Renaissance palette, and it is also identical to another palette which I do believe, I think I've already given it away actually. It was a Tropical Vacation palette. The eyeshadows are just exactly the same, only you get the kind of shimmery blush slash highlighters in this palette. I am going to be giving this one away. As I said, the shades don't really appeal to me that much, so that one's going to be given away. Okay, so next we have the Everchanging palette, and this one it's actually really pretty. Like, I love the colours in here, and this yellow shimmer is beautiful. I'm going to be keeping this one. I just feel like I want to do a look with this blue and this gold. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one. The formula's really good. The shimmers are silky smooth and blinding, just what I like. Okay, so next we have the Wonder palette. So they recently brought out 3 like minis, the Wonder, the Nude and the Pink. This one was definitely the more colourful of the 3. I think she is absolutely beautiful and I'm going to be keeping her because I'm not ready to give her away. There's more that I could do, and again, this blue is just singing to my vagina. It's like, you know, back in Greek mythology, is that even a thing? But back in Greek mythology, there was nymphs that would be on the rocks and they would like sing a sexual tune or something to lure in the sailors. I feel like this is what the palette is doing to me. It's being a nymph going, right, come and try me. Anyway, so I'm keeping that one. Oh my gosh, guys, right, last night it was so windy outside, and you know when you're kind of inside, you're all cozy and warm, but you can hear like the wind howling outside. It was like, and I'm just inside just feeling like, oh, so cozy right now. I just wanted to tell you, like, I love that. Anyway, so this is the Pink palette. This one is beautiful. Like, I feel like this is the kind of palette that I want to have in my life. But I also feel like I've got all of these shades in a multitude of other palettes. I think that someone else could really, really use this and enjoy it. So for that reason, she is going. But I love the marble effect, but not enough to keep it. Okay, next we've got the Sweet as Honey palette. So this is one of their newer releases. I was a little bit disappointed with this, honestly, because I tried 2 of their previous palettes, which was the Twilight palette and the We Care Your Favours palette. I know, such a strange name, but those 2 were the palettes I tried first, and they were just so beautiful. And then I tried this palette with like huge expectations, and it did not meet my expectations. The shimmers in this palette were not a patch on previous FOCALLURE eyeshadows shimmers. So yeah, this whole thing was quite the disappointment for me, and for that reason this one is also going. I am doing well. I think I've got like an equal number staying and going, which I'm pleased about. Okay, so next we have the We Care Your Favours palette. I do believe that this actually has a different name. Like, some people know it as something else, but for me it's just the We Care Your Favours palette, which is a bizarre name. Like, I don't know how they've come up with that, but this is what it looks like. The shimmers in this palette are outstandingly good. They're so metallic. I would say that they're on par with Gervais Place shimmers. This is actually the palette that really got me into FOCALLURE and, you know, got me wanting to try more of their products. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this. I do use it fairly frequently, mainly for the shimmers. But yeah, I'm going to keep it. Like, I cannot give her away. I cannot. Okay, so next we're going to be moving on to Beauty Glazed, and I have 4 palettes down here. I just wanted to say as well, if there's any palettes that are missing, or you think, oh my gosh, I'm sure Anwen had that palette, I have given some away along the way. Like, some away along the way, what, I don't know, but I have given some away previously. So if there's any that are missing, that's why. Like, I was fed up with them already and fecked them off, you know, at this point. The first Beauty Glaze palette we have is the I Got You edition, another bizarre name, but this is a beautiful palette. It really reminds me of the Desert Dusk palette from Huda Beauty. You've got some beautiful kind of purples, you've got peaches, and then you've just got this random ass kind of burnt orange glitter, which to me doesn't really like go with the palette. I am going to keep this because, again, like, I do use this from time to time, not a lot, but from time to time, and I think she's really good, so I'm going to keep her. Next we have the Beauty Glaze Strelitzia palette. This one is very, very colourful, and it is reminiscent of the Tropic palette by Natasha Denona, only this palette is not ripping you off, you know, in any way. I think this palette is beautiful. Do I use it? No. Will I use it in the future? Probably not. The shades in this palette are just not my go-to kind of shades, so I am going to be passing her along. Next we have an eyeshadow palette that I've tried recently. This is the Perfect Mix palette, which is a very close dupe to the Huda Beauty Nude palette. I think that the shades in here are beautiful. I think that, you know, you could create some really gorgeous kind of everyday / romantic look. What is a romantic look? Is that a look that you would create when you're feeling sexual? If I created a romantic look, would I be within my rights to just like go downstairs and say to honeys, we are having romance tonight? This one's staying because I really, really love her. She's gorgeous. Okay, so next we have the Sunset Dusk palette, obviously by Beauty Glazed. This one is beautiful. I just adore these kind of summery, warm shades in this palette. I particularly like the yellow. I like the hot pink. I like the peaches. I like the shimmers. I like the mattes. I like everything in this palette. Again, this is quite similar to, I think it's another Natasha Denona palette. Beauty Glazed making their career from ripping off Huda Beauty and Natasha Denona, but I'm not hating on it, like, literally. I'm going to be keeping this palette because I really, really like it. It's beautiful, and I know I'll get lots of use out of it. Okay, so next we have the Commodore Green palette. So if you've watched like my other videos, you'll know that at first I was so critical about this palette just because the packaging, as you can see, it's very cheap. It's just quite flimsy, but in all fairness, this palette, it costs £1.50. I think I'm a bit unreasonable to expect that it's going to have the best, like, bulletproof packaging ever. So, you know what? I don't even care that this is hanging off right now. Plus, I did it. Like, I pulled this off myself in an act of being an arsehole. The shades are brilliant. I was deeply impressed with it, actually, and I really liked the green look that I created. However, I'm not going to be keeping it because although I really enjoyed experimenting with the greens and I liked the final look, I don't think I'm going to be creating that look anytime soon. I liked being green for the day, but I'm not the Grinch, so I'm not going there again. I don't think. I probably will, but anyway, that palette's going. It's going. Okay, so next we have the Hold Live Colour School palette. This is what she looks like. I was so impressed with the formula of this palette, particularly with the shimmers. The shimmers have that kind of bouncy texture to them, kind of like colour pop eyeshadows. So when you put your finger in there, there's a bit of like a movement as if it's like Play-Doh or something. Really like the formula, but the shades are not my favourite. So for that reason, this one is going to be donated to a good home. Or maybe a bad home, but I hope a good home, like literally. Okay, so next we have the Maria Ayora Perfect Chic palette. So this one is very, very colourful. It really reminds me of the NYX. I don't know what the name is, but NYX did a very similar kind of, you know, bright, colourful palette to this. You've got pastel shades. You've got more kind of primary kind of shades. I really, really like this, and I think for what it is and how much it is, it's a really, really fun palette to play around with. But I have the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil palette, and that one's really big, and it's got all of these shades in there along with many others. So I feel like I'm kind of covered for pastel-y, colourful, bright shades. So I am going to be giving this one away so someone can actually use it and have a good time with it. Okay, so next we're going to move on to UCANBE, and actually UCANBE, I don't know if it's UCANBE or FOCALLURE, but I have a lot of palettes from UCANBE. So we are going to begin with the Twilight palette. So like, I was so excited about this palette, but I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, I can't remember the look that I created with you. Like, I can't really remember it at all, but I don't know if I liked it or not. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that video to see. However, I've not really used it since filming, so I'm not sure. Like, I think I'm going to give this one away. I think the sheer fact that I have no recollection of trying this palette and I haven't reached for it since, I'm thinking that maybe like my brow wasn't blown off, so I'm going to pass that one along. Next we have the Rythum palette. So this one is kind of a dupe for the Prism palette by ABH. You've got some very similar shades in here. I really, really like this palette. I thought it was beautiful. I am keeping this palette. Oh, my palettes to keep have fallen off like a crazy eyeshadow palette avalanche. Oh, the palettes that I don't want to keep, they're fine. Oh no, they're solid as a rock. But all of the palettes I want to keep just came hurtling to the ground. So hopefully they'll be okay, but I'll check them later. Next we have the Dreamland palette. This one is an absolute dupe of the Lime Crime Venus XL palette. I think if you've been eyeing up the Lime Crime palette, just go out and get this one because it's the same. I even think that the formula of the UCANBE shadows are actually a bit better. I'm definitely keeping this. It's a fantastic, affordable eyeshadow palette. It's so good quality. I'm keeping it. I feel like, you know, in my head then as I was putting the palette down, like in my head I was saying, I was like being the palette. I got into like the palette's being, and I was saying, no, don't put me on the table, do not, I'll fall off like everybody else did, and I don't want to hurt my head. Oh my gosh, like I'm going crazy, like literally. Okay, next we have the Echo palette, and this palette extremely annoyed a lot of people because of the wasted space. But for me, like, I actually appreciate the uniqueness of the palette, and really I think to myself, well, like, what, like, it's only a tiny bit of space that's been wasted. And I can't talk about waste of spaces because in our spare room, which I keep meaning to turn into a studio, I just have a tripod in there. So, like, I waste space as well. The only complaint that I do have about this palette is that I do wish that the pans were larger because it can be a little bit tough, like such a first world problem. And on the scale of things that are tough, it's really like low down on the scale. But yeah, I do wish that the pans were just a bit bigger. But other than that, like, I really like the palette. It is a predominantly kind of cool tone palette. I thought the shimmers were beautiful. I am keeping her. Okay, next we have the Almighty Mask Palette. You know, I am keeping her. She's beautiful. We've got mattes, we've got shimmers. The shimmers are intense, metallic, just rich in colour. They're beautiful. I'm keeping the damn mask palette. Okay, so next we have one of the 3 mini palettes. Oh shit. Sorry guys, like, I know I swear from time to time, but I didn't mean to swear just then. Shenanigans. That's it. I'll say shenanigans. You heard me say shit. I could edit this out and just go, oh, shenanigans. But then why would I do that? I don't know. Anyway, so this one is the All Shimmer palette and it's called Munroe Walk. No idea why they've called it Munroe Walk. It does not seem to be an appropriate name. But then again, like, that's what they've called it. So that's great. But is it? So this is actually the most recent of all the palettes that I tried. I was a little bit hesitant and it took me a while to try it just because it is all shimmers and I have a issue with all shimmer palettes. I'm not going to bore you with it again. But although I actually did really like the shadows when I used a wet brush with them, I still am not going to keep the palette because I just cannot see me reaching for it. And I just don't want it to be sat there untouched, unloved. I want someone to hit pan on this palette and create 1,000,001 shimmery looks. So this palette is going to be donated. The next of the 3 mini palettes. Why am I overcomplicating this for myself? Like, what? I don't know. But this is the Marvel palette. This is my favourite of the 3. Definitely keeping this. The formula is really, really good. And I just think it's a really handy little, like, everyday palette to have. So I'm definitely keeping this one. The last one we have is the Swing palette. This one's very summery. We've got coral shades. We've got pink shades. We've got gorgeous shimmers. I am keeping her. Okay, and just to finish off the video, I have one last palette. This is by TZ Cosmetics and it is the Obsidian palette. So this palette looks gorgeous. I mean, it looks really, really like beautiful. You've got cool tones over here and then you've got kind of warmer tones on these 2 sections. So I was cruelly disappointed with this palette. It just was not up to the standard that I expect from TZ Cosmetics. Oh my gosh, I felt like some kind of like arsey school teacher then. It was just not up to the usual standard. I mean, really, where's your manager? I need to speak to her. Like, I'm sorry guys for that whole judgmental tone of voice, but I didn't like this palette and I was so disappointed because I know that TZ Cosmetics are capable of so much more. So again, I feel like a patronising school teacher this time. You're capable of so much more, John. Why do you insist on messing around and disrupting the class? You're the one that will suffer at the end of the day, John. I mean, really. But anyway, guys, this palette is going to be passed along to someone, some poor person who is going to also probably be disappointed with it. So anyway, that brings us to the end of this declutter, and I actually did good this time. So I've got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got rid of 11 palettes. Go me. Like, where's my round of applause? Like, where is it? Anyway guys, I am going to go. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you could do me like a massive favour and let me know which makeup type product would you like me to see declutter. Would you like me to, what? That did not go right, did it? What declutter would you like to see next? Lipsticks, foundations, bronzers and blushes. Just let me know guys and I will happily do that for you. It feels really good just to like get rid of things, you know. But anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful day and I will see you in the next video.